Hello students. So in this video we are going to discuss the chemical properties of metals and non-metals. So this topic is little bit lengthy, so you have to go through these slides many times to have these chemical properties of metals and non-metals. So normally in this video we are going to discuss the reaction of metals specifically with the oxygen, with the water, with the acid and with the base. And yes, in the last we are going to discuss this reaction which is very important, that is known as displacement reaction. So we will take it one by one. So first of all, how the metals and non-metals are going to behave when they are going to react with the oxygen. So let us take the first type of reaction, that is reaction with oxygen. So here in this case, first of all, how metals are going to react with oxygen, let us discuss. Now the thing is, metals react with the oxygen to form a compound, and this compound is basically known as metal oxide. So metals with the oxygen, they are going to form metal oxides. And remember, these metal oxides are also known as basic oxide. So basic oxide is the name. So this basic is the word which is related to the base. So that is related with the pH property of this compound. Now, as I have already told you, metal oxides are basic oxide. So basic means to say these oxides can turn red litmus paper into blue. So we can have some experiment to test this, whether the metal oxide which is formed by the reaction of metal and oxygen is basic in nature or not. So that is why, because it is basic in nature, that is why it is called basic oxide. So this is the reaction of magnesium and oxygen. So we are going to have this reaction. How? So magnesium is a metal, remember, and it is available in the ribbon form. So that is why we can call it magnesium ribbon. So this magnesium ribbon, if we are going to burn it into the air, that is oxygen, so normally magnesium and oxygen, they are going to combine to form this compound, and this compound is known as magnesium oxide. So magnesium is metal, so magnesium oxide is metal oxide, remember. So this form is basically metal oxide. Getting? Now the thing is, if you can see, if you are going to burn this magnesium ribbon, so I'm going to show you this video once again. So what is there? So this is the magnesium ribbon in the tongue. So if you are going to burn, so this dazzling light will appear. So this sparking dazzling fire will appear. So this is going to produce this white color substance. So later on, this is the ash part, as you can see after burning. So this is the burning in the presence of oxygen. So this white color content is basically magnesium oxide. Now what you can do, you can dissolve this magnesium oxide ash into the water, and you can pour this drop onto the litmus paper. So what you are going to see is this red litmus paper has changed its color to the blue. Again, you can watch this video. So again you will see, when you are going to put the drops, so blue litmus will not change, but red litmus will change into the, yes, it is changing into the blue color. So this is going to confirm us that when magnesium oxide, this white powder is going to, which is magnesium oxide, so this is going to dissolve in water, it is going to form a compound that is known as magnesium hydroxide. So this compound is basic in nature. How you are going to test its basicity? With the help of litmus paper. So it is going to change red litmus paper into the blue. So we can say that the oxide which is formed by the metal with the reaction of oxygen is basic in nature. Now this is the reaction when we add magnesium oxide, that is the white color substance, with the water. So magnesium hydroxide is going to form. So this is basic in nature. Now moving on to the other reaction. So this is the reaction of iron that we normally use in the presence of air and water. And remember, iron in the presence of air and moisture, it form a rust onto its surface, and reaction is like this. So iron, which is basically, this symbol is used to represent iron, that is Fe. So this Fe in the presence of oxygen, that is O2, and water, that is H2O. So this is very familiar to you. So these three things are going to combine together to form a compound that is known as iron oxide. So this is iron oxide, which is sometimes it is known as ferrous oxide or ferric oxide. So now this compound is going to form. So this compound is basically brown in color, which is known as rust. So remember, this brown color compound is rust, and remember, this is metal oxide. So iron is metal and this is oxide, so metal oxide is going to form, and again it is also basic in nature. So this is the kind of rust you can see onto the surface of irons. Now there is a reaction of copper with the oxygen present in air and water, so that is called as corrosion of copper. So let us see this reaction. So copper in the presence of oxygen, and there are some other gases also like carbon dioxide, water vapors. So in the presence of these three conditions, oxygen, CO2 and water, copper is going to form a product which is copper hydroxide and copper carbonate. You have to remember this thing. So these two products are going to form. This reaction is very important, and these two products are basically green in color. So these are the green coating which generally appears on the copper vessels. So because of this reaction, as you have already seen this kind of reaction in the copper vessels, or any substance which is made up of copper is present in your house. So after some time you will see this green color coating will appear, and this is the reaction basically occur during the copper corrosion. Now non-metals can also react with the oxygen just like metals, but yes, here they are going to form a oxide which is acidic in nature. Remember this thing. So non-metal oxides are the oxides of non-metal which are acidic in nature. And how you are going to test it? Obviously, again, the litmus paper test you can perform, in which blue litmus paper can be converted into the red. Now we can have the example of sulfur heating in presence of air. Sulfur is non-metal, you should know this, and sulfur is powder in form and it is yellow in color. So when we are reacting the sulfur in the presence of oxygen in the air, so it is going to convert into this compound that is known as sulfur dioxide. Remember, this is SO2. So this is sulfur dioxide. And when this sulfur dioxide is going to react with water, remember this thing, when sulfur dioxide is going to react with water, it is going to form an acid which is known as sulfurous acid. So this you have to remember. So how this sulfur is going to react with oxygen and water, then later on with water, sulfur dioxide is going to form sulfurous acid. So acid, again you can test it with the red litmus, this blue litmus paper. So it is going to convert into the red. So this you have to remember. Now the thing is, if you can perform this reaction, so this is the kind of spoon. You can see this rod like structure. So let me tell you about this particular materials which is used over here. So this is the spoon which is also known as combustion spoon. So this long shape, it is a spoon, and this is the burner, and this is the simple gas jar. This is gas jar. Now what we have done, so this spoon is basically having sulfur. First of all, we have placed sulfur into it. I'm going to tell you when this is the sulfur heating. Now this is converted into SO2. So when we are going to pass it into this red hot sulfur into the gas jar, so in the presence of oxygen, it is going to release sulfur dioxide gas. So sulfur dioxide gas, here it will release sulfur dioxide, and when we are going to place moist PS strip paper into it, so its color will change. So you can see the color of this paper. Just watch it again. So this is how this paper is changing into yellow to, later on it will change into the red color. So this pH paper is going to tell us that yes, sulfuric acid is going to produce. So this change in color is going to tell us that. So that what we can confirm is this non-metal oxides are acidic in nature. Okay, now moving ahead about the second property, that is the reaction with water. So metals and non-metals can react with water. So let us check whether it is there or not. So reaction with water, remember, metals react with water to form metal hydroxide. So remember, during this time you are watching the video, so first of all, remember this thing, you have to note it down everything onto the register also, rough register. Otherwise you will get confused. So reaction with water, so metals are going to release, react with water to form metal hydroxide, and hydrogen gas is going to produce. So these are the two products which are going to produce, that is metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas, when metal react with water. So remember this thing, this is little bit interesting, that metals react with water on to basis of their reactivity. That means some metals are reactive in nature, they will react very fast with the water, and some metals are very low in reactivity, so they are not going to react with water. Remember this thing. So metals like sodium, potassium, these are highly reactive, so they are going to react with water very violently, they are going to explode even. So even in the cold water condition they can react very easily. Whereas you can see, this is the experiment in which sodium react with water. So how it is going to react, you can see this burning up here. So sodium metal, you are going to place it into the water, so this is going to happen. And yes, I have told you, when metal react with water, it is going to form metal hydroxide. So sodium is metal, so it is going to form sodium hydroxide, and yes, hydrogen gas is released parallelly. So this is the reaction. So just observe this video. So you can see this hydrogen gas is releasing, and because of exothermic, remember this reaction is highly exothermic, more amount of heat is released. So because of that heat only, that hydrogen which is produced over here start burning. So this can explode also. So we have to be very careful. And later on, this sodium hydroxide is produced. So at the end of this reaction, we have added some chemical. So that chemical is basically phenolphthalein here. So this phenolphthalein is giving pink color. So this pink color indicate that yes, sodium hydroxide, which is basic or alkali in nature, it is going to give pink color, as you have already studied in the lower class about the phenolphthalein, which is giving pink color in the alkaline solution. So this will happen. So remember, these are the steps of this reaction. So you can go through these steps in the PDF file also. So this is all about the sodium reaction with water. Remember, this is exothermic heat releasing reaction. So we have to be very careful during this reaction. Yes, there are some precaution that has to be kept in mind when we are going to store sodium. So we have to store it in kerosene oil. Why? Because you know very well, this is very reactive metal and it can react with the moisture present in our air. So that is why it is to be kept in the kerosene oil. Even potassium also is very reactive, so we have to keep it in kerosene oil. Now the question arises, do all metal react with the water? So the answer is no. So the metals like copper, gold, silver, I have told you, depending upon their reactivity, they are low unreactive or non-reactive. So they are not going to react. They are very stable. Whereas some metals are there which are going to react with the water in the form of steam, sometimes hot water or steam. So here you can see magnesium is a metal which can react with hot water to produce these products, that is magnesium oxide and hydrogen gas, whereas zinc can react with the water in steam form only. Remember, so here you can see the condition are varying. Earlier in the sodium and potassium it was cold water because they are very reactive, but zinc and iron can react with water, but the condition is water should be hot or in the steam form, then only they can react with the water, otherwise no reaction will take place. Now the other chemical properties is about the non-metals. It is simple that non-metals cannot react with water, so that is very easy. But the thing is, yes, non-metals like phosphorus can react with air. This is very interesting. Phosphorus is a non-metal which is otherwise cannot react with water, but it can react with air. So that is why we have to store the phosphorus in the water to avoid its reaction with the air. So that is very interesting thing. So it may be asked in your sometime in your exams also. Okay, now the thing is, this is the third property, that is the reaction with acid. So this is the third property of the metal and non-metal, that is the chemical property. So reaction with the acid. So here the compound which is going to form with the reaction of acid, of metal and acid. So here metal salts and hydrogen gas, these two products are going to be formed, metal salt and the hydrogen gas. So remember, you have to remember what type of reaction will be there and what type of products are going to be produced when it is oxygen, when it is water, or it is acid and later on base. Okay, so metals are going to produce the metal salt and hydrogen gas, and that this will also depend upon the reactivity of metal. So the metals which are highly reactive like sodium and potassium, they can react very fast and very vigorously, and we have to be very careful in that case. And yes, there are some metals like zinc, iron, they can also react with acid easily normal condition, and they can release the hydrogen gas. So that you have to remember. So now the thing is, when zinc, so we can take the example of zinc metal. So zinc metal can react with hydrochloric acid. So this is the acid which we generally use. So it can produce the metal salt, that is zinc chloride, and the gas that is known as hydrogen gas. So these are the two products which is going to form. So hydrogen is to be released and zinc chloride is to be produced like a salt. So this is the reaction. So what we have done, so basically in this reaction what we are going to do is, uh, just observe this reaction in the beginning. So here it starts. So we have to add the zinc in the acid. So now hydrogen gas is released, which is trapped inside the upper test tube. Now we are going to put the burning candle near the test tube, mouth of test tube. So pop-up sound will produce. So this pop-up sound is just to indicate yes that the hydrogen is released in this particular reaction. So this is how we can identify. Now the thing is, the question arises, do all metal reacts with acid? So again the answer will be no. Why? Because there are metals which are like copper, gold, silver, they are not able to replace hydrogen from the acid, so they are not going to produce the hydrogen gas, so they are not going to react with the acid. Yes, and yes, this I have already told you, sodium and other metals are going to react with acid, which is explosive, so that is very risky also. Now, non-metals again do not react with acid. So in your register, you have to make the things like this, otherwise it will be very confusing. So this is about the metal reaction with acid. Now the fourth chemical property is reaction with base. Okay, base is, their pH is high than 7. So metal react with base to form metal salt again, and hydrogen gas is going to produce. Same reaction is going to be happen over there. So some metals like zinc, like aluminum, so this is the exception. Remember, this is very small topic. So zinc and aluminum going to react with base like sodium hydroxide. So sodium hydroxide is base, which is also known as alkali because it is soluble in water. That is why it is a base which is known as alkali also. So it is going to react with zinc and aluminate, and yes, it is going to give us a salt that is known as sodium aluminate. So aluminum is going to react with sodium hydroxide to give us this salt, that is sodium aluminate, and hydrogen gas is going to release. Not all metals going to react with base, but yes, certainly there are two metals like aluminum zinc which is going to form this sodium aluminate and sodium zincate type of salt when reacting with sodium hydroxide. And yes, non-metals, some non-metals react with the base but not produce hydrogen gas. That you have to remember. Now moving on to the last reaction, that is the displacement reaction. So displacement means to say something is uh, displacing. That means some place is being changed. So what is this displacement reaction? It is basically depending upon the reactivity of metal. So first of all, we have to understand the reactivity series. So what is reactivity series? Remember, there are some metals which are more reactive and there are some metals which are less reactive. So depending upon their reactivity, so a reactivity series, order of the their arrangement is being decided on to basis of their reactivity. So in this reactivity series, the metal which is highly reactive is kept onto the top side like potassium and sodium, and so the metals like which are least reactive or almost non-reactive are kept onto the lower side or onto the bottom side. So this is the reactive series, and you have to remember this series up to 9 or 10 metals are there. uh, yes, it is 11. So you have to remember this series, their order. So potassium is more reactive than sodium, then calcium, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, iron. So these are the moderate level reactive metals, and yes, copper, then silver, gold is the most non-reactive and most stable metal, I would say. So these are highly reactive and these are least reactive, like this. Okay, so this arrow mark indicate that reactivity decreases down the reactivity table. Now what we can see about this displacement reaction. So displacement reaction is the reaction in which more reactive metal displaces the position of less reactive metal from its metal solution, salt solution. So remember, in this reaction, if you can see the reaction of iron metal with the copper sulfate solution. So if you are going to mix, or if you are going to add iron in copper sulfate solution, remember copper sulfate is blue in color. So what is the reaction which will take place? So iron is more reactive, as you can see the table. So it is more reactive. So it is going to replace copper from the copper sulfate. So copper sulfate is the salt solution of the copper. So iron is reactive, so it is going to replace the copper from here and it is going to form ferrous sulfate, which is green in color. So the change in color of the solution from blue to green will tell us that yes, this reaction has taken place. And remember, this reaction will take place according to the reactivity series. So copper will be released out in the free form. So this reaction can be done in the laboratory also. So you will find that iron nail can be placed into the copper sulfate and copper will deposit later on. After some time, copper will be deposited upon the iron nail in the brown color. Okay, same reaction of iron metal with the copper sulfate you can see in this video. So let us watch this video clip later on. I mean, this is the copper sulfate solution, and I have put this blue color, this nail into this. So after some time, what we will observe that the nail is getting covered with the copper and the solution color is changed from blue to green. Here you can see once again. So here the color of the solution has changed from blue to green. So this is again the type of reaction of iron metal with the copper sulfate solution. This is the displacement reaction. So iron has displaced copper. Okay, now there is one more reaction, that is the reaction of zinc metal with the copper sulfate solution. Again, zinc is more reactive than copper. So this reaction will happen like this. So again you can watch. So these are the copper sulfate solution. On the right side we have placed the zinc metal into it. So after some time, what you will see that the copper onto the right side of the beaker, it was earlier blue in color. So it has changed its color and become colorless. So why it was so? Because the zinc metal has replaced the copper from its solution and the solution has become zinc sulfate solution. So that is why zinc sulfate solution is colorless. So this change in solution color of solution will happen. So this is the reaction. Now zinc metal with the iron sulfate solution. So this is the third type of reaction of displacement. So when we are going to add zinc into the iron sulfate solution, so remember the color of iron sulfate is green, and if you are going to put zinc into it, so what will happen? Zinc is more reactive than iron, so zinc is going to take the position of iron to form zinc sulfate solution, which is colorless solution, and yes, iron will be separate out in the free form. So this is these three type of displacement reaction. In the beginning we have discussed about the first one, that is the iron in copper sulfate solution, then second one about the zinc in the copper sulfate solution, and in this third one about the zinc in the iron sulfate solution. So that you have to remember. So this is all about the reactions, chemical properties of metal and non-metal.